Welcome back LMS portal. Dr. Kavitha for optional English BA 4th semester. Section Drama, Session 27. This is the next session of the play The Fire and the Rain, written by Girish Karnad. Getting to the pre-reading of the previous session, we came to know the myth of Yaukari. The great friendship bondage between Rabia and Bharadwaja is where the story depends on. Rabia's sons, named Aravasu and Paravasu, they are recognized as the Vedic scholars. But Yaukari, who does some menial works supporting his father at the aesthetic duties during the sacrifices, feels jealous on Aravasu and Paravasu, who were greatly respected for their intellectuality. Yaukari feels sorry that his community never permitted him to receive a formal education of the Vedas, and hence he goes to the forest and he sits in a tapas where he requests Lord Indra to grant him the Brahmajnana. Receiving the Brahmajnana from Lord Indra, Yaukari becomes very prideful and he misbehaves to Rabia's daughter-in-law. In due frustration, Rabia evokes a kind of sacrifice and calls upon the demons to kill Yaukari, and Yaukari is killed by the demons. Knowing this, Bharadwaja, he falls into the fire of his son's funeral and he dies. Before he dies, he curses Paravasu that his father will also die in his hands. Later one day, Paravasu, after finishing his duties while returning to the hermitage, he sees a deer and he kills it. Later he comes to know that it was not a deer but his own father, who was in disguise wrapped up with the deer skin. And he also understands that the curse of Bharadwaja came true. This act of innocence was not recognized or accepted by his brother Aravasu, and he denies Paravasu of performing any kind of duties. So Paravasu goes back to the forest and requests Lord Indra to give back the life of Yaukari and his father so that he can continue his formal duties. And hence there is a regeneration of Yaukari, where Yaukari understands his mistake and he becomes a good scholar, learning and taking his formal educations of the Vedas. So this is the myth that we came across in the previous session, and also we came to know that Karnad infuses the ancient and the modern, and he connects the stories of the ancient and the modern with great predictions. Now, coming to the technical aspect of the play, The Fire and the Rain. This play is not an ordinary play. Karnad has taken more than 37 years to complete this play, or connecting this ancient to modern. The strings are very difficult to connect, and hence it has lot of technical aspects which we are going to look into this session. Let us see how he reconstruct or deconstruct the ancient myth to the modern man and his problems. He reformulates and he deconstructs to attain the modern predilections. The modern play, it has a conflict between the Brahmin community and the tribal community. Through the use of the myth, the play challenges the monolithic aesthetics of Brahmanism and to demolish the one single dimensional structure of egocentric patriarchy and obsessive casteism in India. Karnad provides important facets of psychology with the characters, and he uses the dramatic techniques to merge the ancient, and a few places he tries to parallelize and drag them into one single whole idea of the storyline, which is really a difficult task. So while doing these kinds of parallelism, symbolism, pulling up the strings of the ancient and the modern, we can see a lot of insights in depth, and the instincts and implications are visualized. Here, the fire and the rain depicts a kind of negative instincts of the human nature, such as anger, violence, bloodshed, jealousy, hostility, pride, false knowledge, hatredness, greed, treachery, and revenge. It arrives to the contemporary issue of casteism and how this community politics derive to the women issues, and focusing on the hollowness of the patriarchy. This play is considered persistently that it is a play that connects the old and the new. The play becomes a site of struggle between the upper class and the lower class, which is again equated to the gods and the demons fighting in the myths. Above all, the play depicts the struggle between the good and the evil practices, particularly. Now let us see at the thematic reflections. This play, The Fire and the Rain, is divided into 3 acts where it has a prologue and an epilogue. Karnad unfolds the inner mind of each character individually, and he pulls out the myth of the ancient into modern predictions. The central action of the play focuses on the motive of revenge, but it also has an end of realization. Though it shows the feebleness of human nature, it again shows the intellectuality of the same human nature, self-realization. And that is where these two elements play, the element of fire as well as the element of rain. So now let us see into the symbolic structural alliterations. So as I said, the title has two elements. One is the fire and the other one is the rain, which contradicts. The fire symbolizes the ritualistic and the rain symbolizes the life. Fire, which means Agni in Kannada, connotes both the negative and positive human impulses such as anger, jealousy, revenge, betrayal, and lust. At the same time, it burns out all these aspects also. And the rain, in Kannada, we call it as Malai. On the contrary, denotes the human sacrifice, love, compassion, forgiveness, revival, and regeneration. So far we saw the technical aspects of the play, the fire and the rain, where we will see the main story, how it narrates and how it connects the ancient and the modern and brings into one triangle where a kind of realization is what human nature should undergo. So having said this, let us see in the next session. Thank you.